Kia ora tēnā koe. Nadia Reid.
Oh.
How much fun is this?
Oh, I'm very excited.
Because we've got a little bit of an online love affair, haven't we?
Well, I think I've listened to every Grey Areas.
That's
maybe, except for one, maybe the recent ones. But as I was pushing the pram, earpods in, walking along.
so good. Walking along Manchester City. Because you're one of the very few working musicians I've talked to. I've talked to former musicians and I've talked to performers, but I don't know if I've interviewed a singer-songwriter who's currently releasing music. So this is a first for Grey Areas, which is lovely. And the cute thing is that there are lots of connections, which I hope we delve into, because you recently had a corridor with Megan Dunn in Wellington, and she's on Grey Areas. And I first said when her publicist approached me, I said, oh no, she's too young. And she's 49. She's too young for Grey Areas. And when we were talking about having you on the podcast, that's not something that came to my mind. And yet you are 33. So this is a leading question. Is there something old soul about you?
People do say that, yeah. I mean, I hang around with a lot of, I like older people. You know, I think I like people in their sort of 40s. And I feel like, yeah. I mean, my band, for example, they're all in their sort of, they're all approaching 40. And I love to, you know, give them a bit of grief about, you know, my sound engineer is Gen X.
Awesome.
And I like to sort of give him, you know, we're quite cheeky together, all of us. And I'm the baby of the group. But I suppose, yeah, that throughout my life, people have often thought I was older. And I think I possibly had to grow up really fast. And also, I think it's just my soul, you know, kind of, it's a bit of just who I am.
Yeah. Let's talk about growing up, because you were born in Dunedin?
I was born in Devonport.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
On a futon mattress in Devonport in a flat, and which haunted me because the futon sort of stayed with us for like 10 years or something. So my mum was a big hippie. You know, in 1991, I think, home births were really in. I mean, I'm horrified by the idea of home birth. I had two I was very happy in my hospital bed. So I was born, on the futon in Devonport, and then very quickly went back to the UK where my mum's from, Essex, and then when I was about 2, came back to New Zealand and lived in Auckland for a short time, and then my mum and I went to Dunedin, and that's where I did most of my growing up. So lots of jumping around.
Yeah. I guess because you're like I guess your backstory is interesting, even in the, you know, your mum's a hippie and you're born on a futon, and then she probably said for years, that was the mattress you were born on.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether that would be a threat or it would be. Like, I gave birth at home, but that was where I was happy. Like, there's this thing of you're happy giving birth in the hospital. Like, I wonder if, you know, fashions come and go, right? There are seasonal pushes towards certain spaces and ways of being as a woman. Can I ask how, perhaps having moved away recently, how the South Island shaped you? Like, what do you think what is the influence of Dunedin on your soul and sound?
Well, Dunedin is like, you know, I'm quoting, gosh, I forgot his name, Doctor of Music, amazing, from the Verlaines. What's his name?
It will come to you. I will
Dr.
sip my coffee.
Graham. He said Dunedin's a cauldron, you know, like all the hills are around it, and this thick level of cloud comes in. So it's quite a turbulent place, I think, it's a good place for writers to live, because you sort of feel it's kind of moody and isolated and lonely and cold and kind of gothic. And I grew up in Port Chalmers, right on the hill with a 360 view of the harbour. And so I always feel a bit kind of rattled when I can't see water. And of course, where we live in Manchester, we're nowhere near water. We're just in this little village flat.
How's the rattle?
Well, I get a bit kind of funny. I'm like, I'm a bit kind of spiky or a bit like titchy with my husband or something. And I'm like, I just need to, can we like go to North Wales and just see the water and just get a sense of perspective?
Yeah, I think perspective's the word, isn't it? They built a building in front of our house. We used to be able to have, it was peak of sea. If you were selling this property, you'd say, suburban house, peak of sea,
Wow.
tiny sea glimpse, something. And they built an apartment right in front of it. And I'm like, that's it, we're leaving because I can't see out. I don't have this feeling of being able, and look, what a privilege, right? To be able to see far away, and it's changed my relationship with the house. But I'm good. I'm good here. I've had my tantrum, and I'm staying.
I guess you're close to water, though, aren't here? Like it's not far to, because when I lived in Auckland, if you were having a sort of funky day, you'd just get in the car, drive to Point Chev or out to Piha, get in the water, or walk up and down the beach, blow out the cobwebs.
Exactly.
And everything's fine. But
in Auckland, everywhere's close to water.
Yeah, but in Manchester, it's a bit...
What's the drive time to Wales?
2 hours or ish. But British people don't like to drive, so they don't like sitting in their cars. So it's fine for us, but it's funny. Any drive over like an hour, it's like, get sort of kerfuffled.
So let's go back to your childhood. Your mum and dad, were they ever together? Because our connection point is that my husband, as a television cameraman, worked with your dad as a sound guy. And so I remember years and years ago, I was on a shoot with him, and Craig was so proud of you, introduced me to your work essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah. No, he is. I feel that from him. Yeah. He's really... I think he's proud of all of his children. He's got 3 children. And I think, I was, I sort of came along as babies do. and he was young. And then, the greatest gift he's given me is that I've got a younger sister and a younger brother. And I'm particularly close, getting very close with my little sister. And so she's come on tour with me twice now, looking after my daughters.
Wow, how old is she?
She's 25.
Wow.
Our Gen Z, yeah.
Wow, cool.
And she's just, I'm just like, so, because I don't think I really liked being an only child. It was kind of a little bit isolating, especially because it was just my mum and I. And so now that I was 8 years old when Rosa came along, and it was just the greatest thing ever, to have a sister.
I totally feel you, because I didn't grow up with a sister either, and I think I always wanted one. And so friends became sisters, but we found, or my half-sister found us when I was 18 years old. So that's been a joyful addition to the family. Yeah, and there's something about girls together. Yeah,
it just... when the band met her, because she came on this tour, and they said, oh, you're just so similar. Like, you've got the same sense of humour, you've got the same sort of disposition, and that was just, it's just so nice to see that in someone else, that you share this kind of, you share genes. And even with my auntie, who's my dad's younger sister, who's 12 years older than me. So I sort of feel like we're actually sisters, but she's my auntie. We have such a similar sense of humour and sort of different outlooks, we're different in many ways, but there's this kind of thread of like, I see me and you, vice versa.
I was going to say, there's something about being reflected in another person, isn't there? And that is different as an only child. You've got your parent, who is obviously similar to you, but also so different. And they're in this role of caring and raising and working and doing all the things. But I know for my sister, who was adopted at birth, she said to belong, to find a family where she was similar to others genetically, was such a homecoming.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about growing up as an only child with a solo mum?
I think the first thing I would say is that my mum gave me the gift of music, and the love of music. And I owe that to her because, Megan Dunn talked about, the unlived lives of our parents or our mums. And I definitely feel that thread of music and the sort of strange pull I have to do this quite crazy thing is from her.
How did she give you the gift of music?
I think part of it was that music was celebrated and played in the house, and a big part of our lives, played loudly. She would take me to folk festivals, she would take me to concerts, and I grew up going to the Whare Flat Folk Festival just outside of Dunedin.
Awesome.
Which was very formative for me. And then I think just, the whatever happens in the womb, kind of just this, because I do think there's something, like, I guess sometimes people might ask me, oh, well, when did you decide that music was your dream or music was your passion? And I suppose I don't think I ever woke up one day and said, I want to do this. I don't actually think I particularly wanted to do it. It just was like this thing that kind of, I know it's cliche, but it kind of found me, and I kind of just went with the pull, if that makes sense. It feels like I've kind of been given this task or something, because I'd love to just be at home, in my home, like just being normal.
So it's such an interesting thing, hey, because like everybody, like people dream of being a pop star or being a singer or being a famous artist or an actor, and then the creativity and the craft of it is so, there's almost not even a roadmap and it's so tenuous, and it's so that's, I think, where the old soul thing comes from in a way. You're growing up, you're surrounded by music, your mum plays it loudly, she takes you to festivals. Where's your genesis of, I need to put how I'm feeling out in song or on paper?
It's, I guess, it was a very turbulent teenage time, like really probably blocked it out, a lot of it. Just being a teenager was so hard. It was like really, it's just sort of a vortex of emotion. And so I suppose it was a way to do something with, now I say it's the most useful thing to do with pain, joy, grief. Anger. Yeah, it's the most, what else can I do? And it works. I suppose I started doing that when I was 14, 15, 16. And then it sort of now has turned into a bit of a job.
Career. Yes. You're on your fourth album. It's definitely turned into a job.
Yeah.
So we've got one son at university and one son who's finished high school. So we're out of the high school phase of life now as a family. And I look at my young people and recognise that they are forming themselves, that they are now outside of the womb or nest or whatever. They are working out who they are. And there is a vortex of emotions, whether it looks like it on the outside or not, whether they've come from a stable home or not. There are things going on inside, big feelings. And not everybody can write songs, right? But singing them sometimes helps. Singing the pain or joy or grief or anger of another does give expression to those feelings, hey?
And I clung to people that were doing that. When I saw, trying to think of the first, it would have been, not many people would know the band, the Be Good Tanyas or Jolie Holland, who, when I heard them, female folk singers, when folk music wasn't very cool. I don't know, but
it's cool now.
It's had its peak, but I hadn't seen that. Well, actually, the first I saw Mahina Rangitoka at Whare Flat Folk Festival when I was 16, and I had no idea who she was, and I saw this beautiful woman on stage with her guitar singing. It was so moving. Like, I was just floored, you know, like, and I got the CD and listened to it on repeat, as I do. Like, I get very sort of into something. And, you know, that has to be, I think, a real pivotal, you know, key moment in which I sort of saw something and thought, oh, I want to do that. Or, you know, I could, I'll give it a go, you know, and I became an avid fan of hers. I never got to meet her again. I got to sing one of her songs in the town hall, Auckland Town Hall, for the Arts Festival, for the memorial concert for her, which was like one of the greatest moments. But she, you know, without a doubt, one of New Zealand's greatest songwriters.
So what was it about experiencing the art of one of New Zealand's greatest songwriters, and rather than going, I could never do that, allowing yourself to think, oh, I could try this?
I guess it's that sense of I guess it's seeing myself in the pain or the joy or the grief, and because that's, I suppose, because every time I go on stage, this past 2 weeks, I'm like, why are people here? Like, why have they paid $60, have left their warm homes to come out in the rain, stand for 90 minutes next to strangers? Why are they here? Like, it kind of blows my mind, and I don't get it. But then I do get it. You know, it's that sense of feeling like we see each other, or that we're not alone, or that, you know, quite often I'll meet, it seems to be sort of like middle-aged men, and they seem to always, they cry at my concerts. And, you know, it seems to be that perhaps that my record has helped them through, you know, nursing their parents' death or birth or that sort of thing. And I think of this one time I was in some little town in England playing in this beautiful church, and there was this sort of quite bikery dude. He looked like a bit of a biker, leather sort of waistcoat. And I was just like, what is he doing here? I couldn't. And then at the end of the concert, when I was doing a signing, he said, like, my wife died and your album was the soundtrack to that experience. And I just, like, you know, I just don't, will never ever get over that, you know, because.
In a good way.
And yeah, I mean, that kind of keeps me doing it, because if I can be that for someone, that's just such a honour.
It is an honour.
Yeah,
I hear
like, and it kind of clicked. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so glorious, in so much as, you know, Grey Areas doesn't shy away from grief. It stands and walks and sits side by side with life. And even this year, I feel like when we can open ourselves up to the tenderness and the pain and the significance of these experiences, like losing someone you love. This year I was talking to our producer Sam's mum, who's a palliative care nurse, for another podcast. And she described death as a love story. And it was so profound, like it shifted how I see death, in terms of, she said, as somebody is born, you're surrounded, the person who's giving birth and the person who's being born is surrounded by people they love. And that in death, that same story happens, but they're being born into a non-physical space. Like, and so for her, death is this profound love story. And I'm like, wow, imagine if we were allowed to see death like this gift of love, that the person you are losing who loves you is offering their love and you are giving your love to that person. To have a soundtrack to do that with is also so profound, right? To have a soundtrack of that you could return to remember them, or to remember the moment, or to I don't know, honour, like you say. So music does kind of reach in and kind of grab at you, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really mysterious, but it's what it does, is, you know.
It totally does. And it's not an easy, it's not an easy road for you. Like here you are, you've been home to New Zealand and done a tour with your baby, and you've got a new album released, 4th album. Tell me a little bit about what it was like why you left New Zealand, and what it was like to make this album that's different from the other 3.
Well, the record was made over almost 3 years, and we started bang on the, just as we emerged out of lockdown, and I was pregnant and miserable, and I was trying to, just trying to make the most of time and being in, everyone kind of can't leave the country. And so we started in Port Chalmers, and I got to work with Tom Healy, who was I just knew he was the man for the job. And we had the luxury of kind of taking our time. I hadn't written all the songs.
Which was different to how you used to
do
your albums.
Exactly. So I'd have everything kind of done. Like with album 3, we went to America. Everything was ready to go. Got there 10 days or something.
Recorded the album.
And then left with an album, which both are good. One's not better than the other. I guess the nice thing about this record was I could take my time. I mean, I don't want to use the word writer's block, because I don't think that's what it was. It was that I was pregnant, and then I had a newborn, and we did some of the tracking with my brought the baby up, and then we kept doing little pockets of recording. We went to Round Head, and then I got pregnant again, which was...
So was this album over the space of 2 pregnancies?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
The little one, she just decided she was... Because I was like, my body, I can leave, I'm going out. It was all, and then she just decided she wanted to come along. And I was very ill, very, very ill with both. But I managed to, with the help of magical drugs that they have these, I did some shows, and we finished the album. So I wrote one of the last songs, Even Now, and recorded that while I was pregnant with Goldie. And then we got on a plane and left for Manchester. Yeah, so it was all so we arrived in Manchester. I mean, I'm sort of jumping around now, but we arrived, I was 22 weeks pregnant, and it got dark at 4 p.m.
I know.
And I was like, what have we done?
I hear you.
And then a year later, we can look back and go, well, that was really shit. It was really hard for us as a family. And the visa process was very hostile. But now we look back and go, oh, that's so cool. We're really happy to be here. And my friend Sean, SJD, he said to me just before I left, he said, I think it's going to be really good for your writing to leave New Zealand. And I'd never thought about that, just to get some because I grew up here. I never left here until I was 26.
Wow.
And that has been, I love my home country, and I don't ever, but I love the fact that I've been able to just leave and get the perspective and some distance. And plenty of people like to do it, go to see the world.
It literally, I think it's the thing of so much of our lives, when we are swimming in our own lives, we don't see what we're swimming in, right? The water or the air that we breathe is literally the air that we breathe. And for me, moving to England as a 12-year-old, when it got dark at 4 p.m., I kind of woke up to what a New Zealander was because I saw it in relief to another type of person. And I thought, English people and Kiwis, they're the same. But they aren't. They have similarities and commonalities, but we're different. And so to even get a perspective of who and how I am in the world, it was significant. It was world forming or identity forming. And even you arriving at, we are now going to record my 4th album, and you don't have the songs. Like, I think that there's a possibility when we've done something and it's worked, I arrive at the studio, I have my set of songs, that you can think, oh, it's worked because this is the process I follow, rather than this is who I am. So what was it like for you to show up to recording but not have the songs? Like, how was that for you as an artist?
I suppose with this record, I realised that because I have such a deep trust with Sam and Richie and Joe and now Tom, you know, we're coming on 12 years of, you know, Sam's played on all my records, and it's a relationship that's really hard to explain. And I suppose being away for over a year now, it's like I really, you know, we do this kind of weird thing where we travel together and we go through this kind of high pressure thing. We perform on stage, we laugh together, we see each other through all these kind of life things that we go through. And being away, I realized, like, I love these people, like, and it's this kind of intimacy that's really hard to define because it's not a friend, it's not a colleague, it's not like a romantic relationship. It's sort of this, it's its own thing.
Whānau.
And yeah, and I suppose because there's this trust, I sort of was like, okay, well, I've got these lyrics and I've got 3 chords, and let's just get in the room and we'll, let's not overthink it. Let's, you know, I call it like the juju or the mojo or the magic, and let's just see what happens, you know. And I kind of like, that's kind of my motto with most things, like even rehearsals, like let's not overdo it. Let's just be as rehearsed as we can and just let them, like, keep a pocket for the magic. And I suppose some of these songs were that, you know, I had the lyrics, had the melody, let's get in the room.
Keep a pocket for the magic.
Yeah, and just see. But I couldn't do that with just anyone. It had to be with those guys because they have a, like, sort of understanding and a trust. And I'm actually quite shy, I think. You know, like, I do have a shyness about me, and, you know, I don't like rehearsing if anyone's in the house or if anyone can hear me. I don't like write. I have to be very alone to write. But with these guys, like, I can fully be myself, and I feel it's just trust, and it takes time to get there. Yeah,
trust is such a wonderful thing. So profound to be in a trust relationship, whether it's friendship or collegial, whether it's a working relationship or a combo. It really is what allows you to bring your full self to the table, right? And I think even, like, something I'm discovering through grey areas is we can have a trust relationship with ourselves if we foster it and allow it. But you can actually live outside of a trust relationship with yourself. You can be like, oh, I don't trust myself to show up in the way I should, or so it's really, I think it's a really good topic, actually.
Yeah, and I suppose I thought about it last night on stage. You know, that these, like, I really feel like they've got me when we're performing. You know, like, the whole thing is, because my manager in the UK, he says, oh, well, we've got to get you a UK-based band. Like, we can't be flying them here and there. And I don't want to. I want these guys. But because they've just, I feel the way, because I can perform and relax and do my thing because they've got this kind of, they're carrying me, and they're listening, and they know all the weird little quirks that I do. And it's such a lovely, I don't think people talk about it enough, the
Yeah, I hear
the
you.
relationship of doing, and every time before we go on stage, we do this. We do we have a ritual.
Tell me.
And I've started saying, we've always done, it's a little bit lame, but we do a little,
Put your hands in the middle, like a sports team.
And
like
for years, they'd always say, Nadia Reid. And I'd always be like, oh, no. And then this time I was like, no, okay, same team.
Same team.
And every night, with our sound engineer, we do it. And I do that with my husband too. I think I must have seen it on some sort of, Instagram. But with parenting, it's like we're on the same team. Like, you're not my enemy. And so it's like same team.
Even when you want to do something different, or even when we disagree about what's the best, we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when our 3.5-year-old is like being crazy, like a monster.
Yeah.
Not that she's
just a wild human being.
Just a 3.5-year-old, and we're just like, what are we? We're on the same.
You and me,
we're not against each other.
Yeah.
But it's special. I hope to sort of develop the ritual over the years to come.
Well, what you're describing is whānau. That's what I hear. Is a bond that's beyond like, hey, g'day, how are you? We're being paid to hang out together. And it could be called community, right? And I think that in our very individualistic, our Western mind frame, the way we've run our society recently is that, somebody rises to the top and they are the lead actor and the lead singer and the lead project manager, whatever, they're the lead, you rise to them, you're the hero of your story. And this person rises up. When the truth is that we live and breathe and have our being in community, in relationship with other people. And so this idea that even, they hold you and you hold them is so joyous, because it doesn't mean all of the burden of everything is on you. And it also doesn't mean that you are the one who gets all the reward. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's all up to you, then it's all up to you to fail or succeed. Whereas when you're in this community together with all the mess and all the goodness of that, it's a different proposition.
And I think it also, something I think about is treating people really well, because you hear about it in the industry, of people not treating each other well, or, band members or team. And for me, that's a really big thing for me, is that people get treated fairly and with respect. And I'm like very, very loyal, so that's important, because I suppose I went from, you said before about something about a handbook. There was a point at which, would have been 2017, where I had a bit of I came up to a point where I realised I need more help. I was doing everything on my own. I need to manage it. I need an agent. And I thought, all of a sudden I'm like, selling out rooms in Auckland, etc. And like, no one's taught me how to do this. Like, what am I, tax? Like, all this stuff. And I really needed to have more help and more support, because I'd been so DIY for so many years. And so had to bring in some people. And now it's like there's lots of us.
How cool.
Yeah.
And I guess are you enjoying lots of us more than by yourself?
Yeah, I love it. And, you were talking about, when I got here, about the dinner table, with your intergenerational home. Like, I love that, like, and when I, I've been going on about that at the moment. I'm like, why do we, because we have 2 young children, we live in Manchester, we have no family over there. And we've done that to us.
I was going to say, that's a little on you.
I mean, we've left our
support crew in some ways.
I just thought, we're not designed to do this in our 4 walls. And I like, even there's this writer, Elizabeth Oldfield, who I love.
She's
her
amazing.
book.
I haven't read the book,
Alive.
but I'm listening to her podcast. I'm like in love.
So she lives in a
community.
and with 2 couples and children, And I'm like, why do we like, but then when you talk about it with people, I guess, you know, it's like, oh, it sounds a bit like a cult or something. But I'm like, to buy a house where we live in Manchester, you know, we're going to need £2 million.
Pounds.
Yeah. So I think I love this idea of living in community. And I think that's why I love being on tour so much, because, you know, we're often in hotels or Airbnbs and we have this sort of like collective life. You know, there's the baby on tour and she's everyone's baby and everyone can play with her. And then when you can cook, or, you know, it's just like, for me, I feel like we are moving to maybe start opening our minds to that thing, because I didn't grow up with that, but I want to have, like, you know, I want to have a house with an open door, and when we're on tour it feels like that, you know, especially when the whole family's with me, and it's just like our little family.
Yeah, and you can share, important experiences are shared. And there's a mess to it, right? There's a mess and an inconvenience and a discomfort to it, as well as the joy and the collaboration and the camaraderie. But I think it's not seeking this holy utopia that's somewhere out in the distance where I will never be bothered by anything or anyone ever again.
Yeah.
That's a lonely, cold place. And I think, you're right, like real life is really gritty. And intergenerational living has its highs and lows.
Totally.
But I think the highs outweigh the lows. And I like this idea of sharing. I really like it. I do think, like, for me, I know my heart is happy if I have a friend in the neighbourhood. A friend within walking distance makes a massive difference to my entire life.
I mean, I know, I just don't think we're I mean, I just see, you know, it's just, I love it. It's so cool to see. And perhaps not every personality is suited for it, but my personality, I think, is.
Yeah.
And I guess it also involves having adult conversations, which is so hard. You know, the other day, my daughter's in a sort of nursery school situation. I had to have an adult conversation with another parent, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, like, it's really hard to have this sort of like low-key kind of conflict. But I did it and it was fine. And I was an adult. Like,
that's good.
You know, and it's like that within a band or within a family. You have to have you have to say sorry, and you have to talk about uncomfortable things.
Yeah, you do. which is where it's actually growth. It's a bit like exercising a muscle, right? Actually, you make it stronger. And the relationship is more trustworthy if you can have a difficult or a crunchy conversation and repair, reconcile, and keep going. Out of the new album, is there, because over this album, you became a mother. You went through a lot of hormones. There's a physicality and there's an emotional and a mental transformation that happens in becoming a mum. And so I wonder, is there anything that you can reflect on in terms of how that's showed up in these songs or in your world?
I suppose there's a song, the first song of the record, which was one of the last songs that I wrote, and it was recorded just Tom, Sam and I in his little box, his little studio at the lab. And I suppose, you know, when I'm talking about like meanings of songs, it's really hard to sort of pinpoint, you know, this is this, or it's all kind of melted in. But there's a line that says like, you know, there is far too much at stake now. And I suppose with this, when I had the babies, like, I'm like, there's so much at stake, like these two little precious lives. Like, I want to do the best I can for them, be the best, show up for myself, be the best mum, like work.
Not the perfect mum.
Not perfect, no. But the best that I can, you know. I do see that giving this, I mean, Carl Jung says the greatest burden a child can bear is the unlived life of its parents. And I suppose I grappled with that a lot about the music thing. You know, I want to give it a really good shot, and they can come alongside and I can do both. And maybe my mum's generation or the generation before didn't get to do that. They had to have one or the other.
Do you feel that you carried that burden?
Yeah. I feel like definitely, I do. Yeah, and I don't hold any negative feeling or any. It just was what it was. But I did feel that that unlived life. Yeah.
That your mama maybe gave you her life rather than living her own. How do you mean?
That being essentially a solo parent and an immigrant, and growing up in a low with not much money. I mean, I don't like to use the word poverty, but I think, you could, and I think that takes a long time to leave a person, and so I felt that, but it just is what it is, and I have to be able to. I think for a long time I couldn't say it. I couldn't say that I carried that, but
the burden of a life unlived.
Yeah, but it is my story to tell. It's my experience too. I don't have to kind of mute that.
What is it like to be able to speak of that burden, the fact that you feel as a child, in part, your breathing and having being cost your parent living their own life and their own dreams?
I mean, I think it took me a long time to not feel guilty. And then I feel really sad for the little girl, because babies don't ask to be born, and that's the thing I'm really clear about with my two girls. Like, I chose to have, they were very, very wanted, and they are the lights of my life, and they are the number one priority. And I'm never going to do anything that will jeopardize their well-being. So they are the number one, and I would never ever utter the words to them that, because I could have been on Graham Norton or something, and but I was with you. I'd never. I think that's so dangerous to say to your child. And I suppose it's not. There's in the song "Changed Unchained," like there's a lyric like, that pain is a faint memory I'm making, and I say, like, it wasn't anybody's fault. It's no one's fault. I don't have anger. I don't have. It's just gone, because it's not helpful. Yeah.
You're describing a yes and life. It's yes, there's pain, and there's also life. Right? If it's a binary life, then it's this person did this to me, so they were wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and they're right. Like, there's you have to choose one or the other in a binary setup. But a yes and setup, in terms of opening ourselves up to all, the pleasure, the pain, the joy, the grief, the anger, and knowing that they sit side by side, and some of them are heavier, and for a season maybe consuming even. But I think you're right. I think that of course our parents make mistakes, right? As a parent, I look at my children and go, oh, what will you need to heal from? Yeah. What will you need to heal from? And that's okay. I'm like, okay, I'll walk with you, and I'll walk with myself, and hopefully we get to heal together.
Grow together, yeah. And also the other thing is that I got married to a man who is just, in 2018 I met him, and I thought, oh no, he keeps texting me, like he keeps calling me back, like I want,
Give me space, go away. What were you thinking?
I was just like, oh. But he is like the most superstar dad. Like, he's such an amazing dad and partner. And if I didn't have him, it would be really, really different. And I suppose I have a lot of, like, I can feel, solo parenting. We're not designed to do it by ourselves. And so the fact that I've got him, I found it really lovely. I found the whole thing not easy, but it's just lovely to do it with him. And when I'm about to get on the plane with an 8-month-old to do a 30-hour flight, I go, is this ridiculous? Like, I don't think I can do it. He goes, You have to do it. It's what you do. And I'm like, okay. Like, are you going to be okay? Yeah. So he's with our 3.5-year-old, and he's just the greatest dad. So
you stand in the gap for each other, right?
Yeah. And I could not do it without him. Like, I just couldn't. So I'll tell him that when I see him next.
He'll love to hear that. Yeah, I remember Hamish and I both, travelled for work, and I remember, after a stretch of days, thinking, wow, there's no other perspective or energy relief that comes in here. Like, there's no other. Like, when I've got to the end of my tether, you can't sub out, go and recharge, or take a breath, or bring in a new, cleaner, clearer perspective. So I think it's actually, they've done tests. Before M. Scott Peck got cancelled on the road less travelled, he said they've tried every other version of raising a child, and as flawed as parenting is, it's the best option. Having multiple humans, having more than one heart and head instead of hands. So yeah, and then if you've got some close neighbours or a grandparent in the wings, or an auntie or an uncle, how awesome! Yeah, so good. So I sometimes wonder if musicians who feel things so deeply have the role of feeler in society, or prophet, or empath.
I mean, I am like a deep observer, and I'm very, I do feel very empathetic, yeah. But it's funny, well, it's not funny, but it's interesting that now, we were talking the other night, like, I think, I haven't cried, and I don't really, my bandmate said, you don't really cry. And I was like, I had to think about, the last time I cried was when, they pulled my baby up out of my stomach, and that was very emotional. But, I feel, as I was driving over here, I thought, I'm actually extremely strong, and I know that, and I can say that really proudly. And perhaps it's a result of I couldn't fall apart. If I'm up there on stage singing a song, I can't fall apart with emotion. I have to be strong to do the job, to do the thing. But I feel like there are seasons of, like, I'm on the road, I'm parenting, I'm working, I can't fall apart. I have 2 little children, like, I can't fall apart. So I perhaps, I don't know, maybe it's all being
suppressed.
Yeah, probably is.
Or maybe there's a season, maybe compartmentalisation is a profoundly useful tool, as long as we know it's happening. For this season, I will stay strong, and then in this season, I will feel and fall apart safely.
It does feel a bit like that, and I think about the idea of, ill family members, or, the eventual death that we have to approach, or, birth, or all that stuff. I know that it's coming, as it does, but at the moment, and when I'm in this sort of zone of getting
powerhouse,
done,
Nadia Reid performer,
it takes a lot to knock me.
I'm very happy to hear that. I want to ask you about what is your dream? What like, I find dream a tricky thing. Like, what does success look like for you as an artist, as a creative, as a woman with 2 children living in Manchester?
For me, it's to be the master of my own time, and to have a life that's where I've lived to my values, and to live a life that's where I'm authentic, and I show up, and I can be I can show up for people and have, like, really real conversations with people, and to have a life of like, to have like open hands, and to have it just comes down to time. I can do these really intensive 2, 3, 4 week tours, and then I can go and I can be with the babies, and I can do the really sort of mundane kind of running a household. And I do love that. I love that I can have both. And so I suspect life is going to be going through those kind of like, you know, being on stage and having all this attention, then going home and like wiping pooey bottoms.
Yeah. Yes and.
Yeah.
Yes and. Yeah, it's such a lovely rhythm, isn't it? Not to have to stay at that peak performer, or not to only exist in the mundane. They both have beauty, and I think the contrast often shines the light on the beauty of the other. Like I think as a personality, I used to try and make one thing good. Like I'd go on holiday and I'd be like, oh, the city is bad. It's so busy, and so, you know, there's so much tension, and la la la, and there's no resourcing, and this is good, this place is good. And I ran into a woman who trained nurses, and she said, I believe in contrast. And I was like, oh yes, here in this place, which was Great Barrier Island, it would be isolated and too quiet and too alone, and I would not love what I love there if I didn't have the city. So it's a yes and. I am going to ask you, what would your 80-year-old self say to you today? She's a wee way off, your 80-year-old self.
Yeah, was 67. How many years?
47.
I think, what would she say? I suppose, I suppose she'd probably say,
it's good to
you. There we go.
There you go. You can call your band member.
I suppose she'd say, you know, you did good, and you perhaps there was a fork in the road at one point, and you decided to go here and you didn't decide to go there, and look how it's turned out. You know. And I think she would be, you know, perhaps it might take until I'm 80 to look back and go, God, we did some really cool, crazy stuff. We did some cool shows. How mad was that, taking your babies on tour? How cool. You know, perhaps I could have inspired other women to take, you know, they can do it.
Have a family and live their lives. Of a life lived.
Yeah, and that you made the most of what you had and all the time. And you didn't sit at home twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah. Although occasionally just twiddling your thumbs at home is okay. Recharge, resource, twiddle, and then go. So good. How can we support artists these days? That was the other question I didn't ask, is now that we're not buying CDs, you know, the odd person buys an LP, and I love that. It's not me so much. I've bought one LP recently. How do we support artists? I
think, you know, I'm really into. I think Spotify's great. You know, a little bit kind of, what's it called? What's the word when you
compromised?
You don't pay enough to. A little bit, but you know, it's an amazing tool. You find someone on Spotify, you see that they're playing in Auckland. Yeah. Buy tickets to their show.
Go see artists.
Go and buy a T-shirt and give their CD to your mum. You know, like, I do think that I'm not into the whole tickety-tockety thing, that the online stuff really, I grapple with that stuff. I think it's become too important. I think what's important is like going and getting in a room with 400 people and putting your phone in your pocket and being in the
present,
getting the juju, because that's what it's all. That's why we do it. So yeah,
be inside the music.
Yeah, and because you can't get that on a screen.
Brilliant. Yeah. So true. Be there. Be present. So good. Thank you so much. Are you willing to have a go at singing us a song?
Yeah.
Woohoo, let's do it. Oh, this is exciting. That's so good.
I'm not a heart. My heart hasn't turned to stone.
It certainly hasn't.
Yeah. wonder, did I hold the light? I see it now. It wasn't anybody's fault. I mark the time between us in a line, right? Or a reason if you like, right? Ooh. Changed by her melody, or were you chained by the memory? Who's to know? Changed by her melody. Who's to know? That pain is a faint memory I'm making that's ours, not only for the taking, right? Ooh. Because you walk toward me. Because you walk toward me. Because you walk toward me. I am transcended in your light. Ooh, changed by her melody, or were you chained by the memory? Who's to know? Changed by her melody. Who's to know? Right on, baby, right on. Right on, baby, right on. Right on, right on. Right on, baby, right on. Right on, right on. Right on, right on, right on, right on, right on, baby, right on.
Crowd goes wild. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, such a pleasure. We never even got to talk about your glasses. They're so great.
I'm getting blinder and blinder.
Yeah, go you.